Hello and welcome. My name is Lauren and today I'll be guiding you through a class targeted for cyclists. This sequence will help you reduce soreness and tension from your last ride by opening through the lower body and the lower back. I confess that I am not much of a cycler myself, as I'm sure you can tell by my chicken legs. From the short and infrequent rides I do go on, I understand just how much your body has to work. So today is all about relaxation and release. We will use a block and a foldable blanket in this class, so please take the time to make sure you have them ready nearby. Then come into extended child's pose by bringing the knees wide. The toes come to touch, arms come out in front of you, and the hips moving towards the mat. Closing down the eyes and tuning into the breath. Sending the breath to any spot where you feel the tension. Perhaps in your groin or your hips or your lower back. Maybe even in your shoulders or your arms. Finding a long, deep inhale and a slow exhale. Taking a few more of these deep breaths. Then press into the hands and come up into tabletop. Checking that the wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders and the knees stacked underneath the hips. Then starting the movement from your hips, begin to circle your body in one direction. And then the other. Come back to a neutral tabletop. We'll move through a few rounds of cat-cow, today focusing on starting the movement from the tailbone. As we inhale, we tilt the tailbone so it's pointing up towards the sky, arching through our back, chest coming forward, gaze slightly up. And exhale, tuck the tailbone so it's pointing to the floor, rounding through the back, pressing into the hands, chin moving towards the chest. Inhale, tailbone points up, bringing you into cow. Exhale, tailbone points down, bringing you into cat. Completing one more round in the timing of your own breath. Then coming back to your neutral tabletop. As you inhale, extend the left leg back behind you. The heel of the foot is pressing as much as it can towards the back of the room. And then allowing the tops of your toes to touch onto the mat. Continuing to press out through the heel and feeling a wonderful stretch through the back of that left leg, up the calf, behind the knee and through the hamstrings. Then lifting the foot back off the ground and bringing it over towards the right side, touching the toes back down and looking over your right shoulder at that left foot, feeling a really juicy stretch down the left side of your body. Then bringing that left leg back out directly behind you. Torso finding a neutral position and come back to your tabletop. Moving on to the right side extending that right leg out behind you, reaching through the heel and bringing the toes to touch the mat. Continuing to press that heel away, feeling the stretch down the back of the leg. Then picking up the right foot and bringing it over towards the left, placing the toes back down on the floor and looking over your left shoulder to look at that right foot. This time feeling the stretch down the right side of the body. Then bringing that leg back directly behind you, torso coming back to center, coming back into your tabletop. As you inhale, step the left leg between the hands, coming into low lunge. You may like to come up under your fingertips here just to create some extra space. The foot is stacked directly underneath the knee, and the chest is nice and proud, reaching forward, the gaze slightly up. Feeling a great stretch through the groin, particularly in that right hip flexor. On your next inhale, grounding into the feet and reaching the hands up to the sky, finding crescent lunge. That stretch through the hip flexor will intensify here. On your next exhale, bringing the hands back to the mat. And bring the left arm on the inside of that left leg, finding lizard. The left foot moves out a bit wider to about the edge of your mat. You may like to stay here, or you could scoop the left arm forward and up to grab the outside of that right foot. This is a wonderful stretch through the quad and the hip flexor of that right leg. Your gaze is up towards the sky and you're trying to open the chest upward. Inhale to stay. Then exhale, releasing the foot. Both hands come back on the mat. Heel toe that left foot back into the center line of the mat, and the left hand comes to the outside of that left leg, back into our low lunge. Find tabletop once more by stepping that left leg back. And moving onto the right side, step the right foot between the hands into the low lunge. If it felt good on the other side, perhaps coming up onto the fingertips, reaching the chest forward and looking slightly up. On your next inhale, reach the hands up to the sky, finding crescent lunge. If you're feeling balanced, you could turn your gaze to look up to the sky. On your next exhale, hands find the floor once more. Then thinking about lizard, bringing the right foot to the edge of the mat. Both hands are on the inside of that right foot. Again, you may like to stay here, or you could come into our twisted monkey lunge by extending the right arm forward, up and back, and grabbing onto the outside edge of that left foot. Once again, feeling that wonderful stretch through the quad and the hip flexor of the left leg. Gaze is up to the sky and allowing opening through the chest. On your next exhale, letting go of the back foot, both hands find the mat once more. The right foot comes back in between the hands and stepping it back so that you find your tabletop. From here, roll over to one side, bringing your legs out in front of you. Using your hands to help you, bend that left knee and orient it so that the top of the shin and the top of the foot are on the mat beside that left hip. And check in with your sit bones, seeing if they're both pressing evenly on the mat. If you are rolling onto that right side, I invite you to place a block or a pillow underneath your sit bones just to help prop you up. The toes of the right foot are flexing back towards your face, keeping that leg active. You may like to bring the hands behind you on the mat. And only if it feels good, you may like to come down onto the forearms. Wherever you are in this pose, I'm sure you're probably feeling that really strong stretch through the front of the leg. Making sure that you're not feeling any knee pain here. If you are, please just back off from the pose. You may even like to come completely out of it. On your next inhale, coming back onto the hands, then rolling onto your right hip and bringing that left leg back out long in front of you. And we'll move onto hero's pose on the other side. So bending that right knee, top of the shin and the foot, find the floor next to that right hip. Checking that your foot is flexed on that left foot, it's staying nice and active. And being very mindful, bringing the hands out behind you. If it feels good, coming down onto those forearms. Sending the breath to any spot where you feel tension. On your next inhale, coming back onto the hands and walking up, bringing the right leg out in front of you and slowly rolling down onto your back. Finding the block that we prepared earlier and bringing it right underneath your sacrum, so it's underneath your tailbone, onto that firm part of your lower back. Once you're here, just letting the hands fall by your side or on your belly. You may like to close down the eyes here, connecting to the breath. And if it feels good, you may like to extend the legs out long. This can put quite a bit of compression on the lower spine, so if your lower back isn't liking this, please just come back with your feet on the floor. Taking the moment to see how this position feels in your body. Does it help you relax? Do you feel quite a lot of tension here? Any answer's okay, just checking in to see how your body is feeling today. On your next inhale, remove the block from underneath your sacrum, just moving it to the side. Take a moment here to let your spine recalibrate. Then when you're ready, lift the left foot off the ground and rotating through the hip, bring the left ankle over the right thigh into our reclined pigeon. You may like to stay here, or perhaps you'd like to clasp your hands behind your right thigh and gently pulling it in towards the chest. Some of us may even like to wrap our hands around the front of the shin to get some more reach. This is a wonderful stretch for that left glute. On your next exhale, release the hands, bringing them out wide. The right foot finds the mat once more, and keeping this figure 4 shape through the legs. Roll them over towards the right side so that that left foot is now on the mat. If it feels good, turn the head to look over the left shoulder. Breathing in and breathing out. On your next inhale, pressing the hands into the floor, engaging the core, and bringing the legs back up to center, uncrossing them, bringing both feet back to the floor. Thinking about reclined pigeon on the other side, picking up the right foot, the right ankle comes to rest on that left thigh. Staying here or interlacing behind that left thigh or in front of the left shin. Checking that both of your shoulders are still firmly on the mat. On your next exhale, releasing the hands, bringing the left sole of the foot back on the mat, and finding your twist over to the left side so that the right sole of the foot finds the mat. Turning to look over your right shoulder if it feels good in your neck. On your next inhale, pressing the hands into the mat, engaging the core, bringing the legs back up through center, untangling them, and bringing the soles of the feet back to the mat. Hug the knees into your chest, thinking about happy baby. Bring the arms on the inside of both legs and take hold of the outside edge of your feet. Tailbone is pressing down firmly into the mat. Shoulders are also still on the mat here. You may like to gently rock from side to side, massaging your lower back. Inhale to stay, then exhale, releasing the feet, allowing your legs to come out long, arms are by your side, finding Shavasana. As you inhale, feeling your lungs fill with air. As you exhale, letting any tension melt into the earth beneath you. Inhale. As you exhale, allowing more tension to drip away. I encourage you to stay here for as long as you like. If you are short on time, please just stay here for at least 10 long, slow breaths to let the practice integrate. I hope you've learnt some wonderful new stretches for those tired and achy legs today. If you enjoyed this class, I invite you to try the Happy Hips and the Blissful Backs classes as they continue to work through the similar muscles. I hope this class has helped you find some recovery so that you're ready for your next ride. Namaste.